Hey, it's Shabes, and welcome to another edition of Anitube Digest, where we go over the best and not so best anime YouTube videos to come out this week from the 5th of February to the 11th of February. My camera is broken again. But I guess that works kind of well, but we'll talk about that in a bit. But first, for the video that I thought was not good. Oh, God damn it. Oh, why do I love sports anime but hate real sports? Crunchyroll. Oh, no. I cannot believe this was made after we literally just had this conversation, and it sparked a greater discussion, which was incredible. One of my highlights of the month for me at the time, and it was a great time all around. But here they are. They must have caught wind of it and beat the dead horse. I cannot believe it. So Crunchyroll, if you don't know, they kind of did the similar thing with Funimation, but they have a particular guy named Tim, and he's kind of their YouTuber, I suppose, their personality for their channel. And he's cool. He did this really kind of a cute video with Junji Ito, and he has a lot of respect with him and everything, and he's a cool personality and everything. He's certainly no Miles or right, but he's cool. And this video is not too bad in terms of the the intent and the actual style and everything like that. And Tim seems like a nice enough guy, but it feels a lot like a Get in the Robot thing, I don't know. It just feels like corporate YouTube in a way. Like, it's sure the actual people who are behind it must be well-intentioned and nice, but it just feels very manufactured in that way. And they're kind of, clean and polished, I guess. So, I mean, for that for me, it's just kind of, And it's also that, you can definitely tell that Crunchyroll can really only talk about the shows that they have on their platform, right? So they can't be talking about Joe, or actually they could be talking about Joe because they have Joe 2 on their fucking platform. Anyway, aim for the, they can't just name drop every show that every sports anime kind of deal, I suppose. But yeah, of course. The actual content is, I did take a few notes here. He really just leans into this one gimmick that he doesn't like sports in real life, to the point where he's making these jokes about sports ball and looking intentionally ignorant to sports, even though he goes into detail about Ice Shield 21, and it's like, you know what football is, how the sport is played, and it's just really annoying. Actually, I don't think you should make a video where you're openly ignorant about a subject that you're talking about, and that's the entire video hinges on that argument. That's your reasoning. He doesn't genuinely talk about how, when you're watching a real life sport, you're not watching the characters' inner thoughts, you're watching commentators and slow motion replays and stuff, and sometimes games aren't interesting. You don't know if a game's going to be interesting, whereas in a sports anime, they're going to write it intentionally that they're going to show the sport, they're going to show the game if it's interesting, and you can trust that. But with a football game, if you start from the beginning, if you watch a Super Bowl, nobody knows how it's going to go down, which I think that's sort of a cool thing about it is, it could be a kind of a crapshoot, but when it's a good game, it's really invigorating. But he doesn't go into how, the camera angles, they're not shooting it dynamically. They always have to shoot it very wide shot to show everything that's happening first, and then later they can show you sort of the action shots. Or just, I don't know, just general stuff like that. And I don't know, he's just kind of complimenting sports anime for being fiction, I guess. Or it's just I get to watch their backstories and hear their inner thoughts. And it's yeah, I guess so. If I was, watching, it's so weird. It was just a weird argument for me. He does frame it as, I'm going to talk about sports anime and say why it's better than their real life counterparts. But he shows that he doesn't watch his real life counterparts. Like, he's shown a couple of them, and he talks about how, like, he watched the NHL finals in 2012 with his friend, like, and watching, like, the playoffs and stuff, and them watching that narrative, and, like, he gets some of the appeal, and he lampshades at the end of the video that, like, yeah, I get that if you follow the narratives of these players or of the teams, right, and you see all the ESPN commentary and everything like that, you could get invested in that narrative in the same way that you have with sports anime. But he just kind of is just like, oh, but, you know, real life don't hit right. Literally. He literally says that at the end of the video. Like, Shocking wasn't... I don't even know if she watched the video, but that's literally in the video. Her meme is literally in the video. What the fuck? He says, I like it because they have special powers. It's like, that's nice, but you can't, he also lampshades this. It's like, you can't expect real life to have these things, right? And, like, that's exaggeration. That's what's great about sports anime, but other people don't like that. Other people don't like that they have, like, these superpowers. It breaks immersion, right? It's like, well, I guess anything can fucking happen, right? It's fiction. It's just, you turn your brain off, right? There's some people that disagree with this. I had people quote tweeting this picture when I tweeted this video, I guess. Well, when I tweeted the picture of it, as if I was, I guess, agreeing with it or something. But people were like, I don't even like sports anime, or like, I like sports but don't like sports anime and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, exactly. There's people that have plenty of these opinions. I think the generalizations are just stupid. I was about to say the generalizations in general. It's just stupid. I don't see the point of it. I would rather talk about these shows concretely and, like, really appreciate them, give them this time. And Tim is talking about Haikyuu here. He rattles off a lot of, like, other sports anime, like, here and there, but mentions, he specifically gives time for Haikyuu, Ice Shield 21, Ippo, and Yoimushi Pedal. But, like, it in the same way that, like, you would expect with, like, summaries and, like, very surface level descriptions, I guess. And I guess it's certain things that he admires about it, I guess, but it just didn't feel all that genuine. It felt more like plugging these shows and recommendations. Hey, you could watch these shows on Crunchyroll. Although, can you watch Ippo on Crunchyroll? I think so. Probably. There's this one part with Ice Shield 21 where he's just listing all the characters. Like, oh, you have this character and this character. And it's like, you could definitely do this for sports, like real life sports. Like, here's Tom Brady. He does this. He's special at this. Or, to be honest, I'm more of a Patriots fan. I really don't know many other sports figures. Or, like, you know, the drama that's going on with Antonio Brown, right? That's a character, right? Regardless of how good, and how is he good at the sport, right? And there's other sports you can do this too. There's basketball has plenty of characters, and all of them, it's not just how they play as a player, but they all have their own characters, right? There's some jerks and there's some they're heroes and stuff like that, and that's why people are invested in sports. And it's just really weird to dismiss and write off these people in that way, and to brag that you hate sports but you like sports anime. I get that it's the intention here is to turn people on to watching sports anime, because the sentiment might be, I don't like sports, why would I like sports anime? But I think Digibro did a much better job really tackling this idea of, like, you're being a baby if you think that, you know, the content, like, just because something has something in it is enough to write something off. And yeah, I don't think this is necessarily the right way to go about it, is to just shove the idea of sports under the bus for the sake of propping up this sports anime thing. I'm not a fan. Oh, one more thing. He says that's one of the things he likes about sports anime. They're better because they're just the highlights. What? I like he talks about how, like, you know, you can watch a game with, like, a sports highlight reel, you know, like a compilation of all the best plays and stuff. You can get a sense of the game. And I'm like, that's not how sports anime goes. Like, they they stretch and squish time however they want. They can montage and flip through certain things, but they're going to articulate the entire pace of the game if they're good, right? If this is a good sports anime, you're going to be with the characters the entire time. The entire season of the third season of Haikyuu is one game, isn't it? I haven't even seen Haikyuu. But like, how is that just the highlights if it's all one match, right? It's ridiculous to think that. And he's highlighting Haikyuu in particular about that. It's like ridiculous. Yeah, I don't see it. I thought that was such a weird point to make. And yeah, I just generally want to give this a not good in current, not that this is like, burning passion, hatred, whatever, hate this video sort of thing. I hate this video. No. But it's ridiculous that the company like a corporation like Crunchyroll is putting a video out like this and perpetuating it like in this way. I don't agree with it. I think it's kind of the wrong move. Not good. Okay, and now for the videos that I thought were decent, pretty okay. If I do say so myself. Now we're gonna start with TeamFourStar putting out their official statement. I did read the Patreon post and saw it before they put this video out. Good idea to break it to their patrons before they broke it to the entire world. DBZ is over. Here's why. And I'll say it was kind of a the aesthetic kind of threw me off because it was a very intentionally dimly lit room, like really somber. It didn't have any of their like. I remember with, like, they always have, like, their kind of quirky voiceovers and, like, having the stick figures and stuff. And it's like, yeah, that would have been a pretty poor taste style to format in. But they've always kind of played with how they format their announcement videos of sorts. Hey guys, Kaiju Neko here at DBZA. But this was like a very dimly lit, somber. Although they still went about like having multiple camera angles. They had 3 different camera angles when they were filming this, and it's like it was just weirdly edited in that way. It's like I would imagine that you just want to have one shot, one camera thing, and very clean, and just do it. One like this because this is the aesthetic of kind of an apology video, right? Because they confirmed that they were doing the Boo Saga. They were going to complete Dragon Ball Z, and fans were expecting it. And then they kind of pivoted, like, we're actually going to go stray away from the original footage, and that's going to be the end of that format that we're doing for myriad of reasons, which is totally fair, all of which are very fair. And go into this sort of short form, like original animation thing, and it was a combination of too much time to put in, too much money, and also they saw the fan reception being like very lukewarm on it, and it's like, yeah, no. They were like they still have their diehard supporters, but the majority of people, I didn't even see them. I wasn't even wanting to click on them. I was like, no. So fair. But yeah, this was very tasteful. I want to say, I just wanted to put it in decent and talk about it because it's pretty important for anime YouTube. This is the end of an era. This is the single most popular abridged series of all time. Most critically acclaimed as well, I would imagine. Although, like, there's certain other people that have, got, like, Something Witty Entertainment's gotten a fair deal of traction on their SEO abridged. But even that one's sort of, like, dying down in terms of, momentum, right? And, yeah, the entire idea of abridging, I think, is kind of over. It's not over. I would say when it's over is when Little Karibo stops doing it. I would say that's when it's like the meme's dead. But yeah, that had a crazy run, dude. There were so many that spawned so many creators, started a lot of their careers, and like TeamFourStar in particular, like they're industry people now. They don't mention it in the video, but like at least I treat them as industry people, because they worked on an official dub, right? And they have real jobs. And they talked about some projects they're still going on. They have their hands in a lot of baskets, but there's no deriving. They're kind of ending their driving force that a lot of people are specifically patroning them for and specifically subscribing for. And yeah, a lot of the reasons sound about right. Burnout, copyright, just overall, like they kind of peaked it with episode 60. Although I didn't even watch it. I kind of stopped. I just felt they were, over time, they say it's a love letter to DBZ, to Dragon Ball Z. And I kind of saw it as them sort of trying to supplant it or do better than it, or kind of make it seem better than it is or something. I don't know. Or just inject more humor, or just like, this is how I do it, or I don't know, kind of fanficky or something. I was starting to get that vibe. You know, I might be very I might be unsubstantiated in that, but like that's kind of how it was coming off to me, and I ended up stopping watching like right before the finale. So I might go back and watch the finale just to have the closure, I suppose. But yeah, it's like I would also be cool with it knowing that's the end of it, right? I think I might enjoy it more for knowing that's the most that they're ever going to put into it, right? But it really is kind of an era closer, and best of luck with them for the next couple of things. But I definitely don't know if anything. I think they know this too. I think they kind of suspect this, having seen the reception of their other projects. Nothing is going to get them as much notoriety and legacy as this, and you know, that's fine. They just hope to entertain people more, and that's really tough to kill your baby like that, I would imagine. So, you know, best of luck with them. End of an era. Pretty important moment to talk about in anime YouTube. So that's kind of my piece on it. All right. From a literally the most subscribed, technically, anime YouTuber, to new one, you know, relatively newcomer, Daburo. I like calling it Daburo. That sounds cool. The best anime to watch high. I like that he capitalized anime and high, but then not like best and watch. It's kind of it's, I don't know. It's just an observation. Good thumbnail too. So this is Daburo kind of riffing and making some jokey jokes. And it had a lot of Jack is Boy vibes, actually. Like the ranting and the like listing off of the different slang terms for weed, and it was really funny. And he had a really good energy to it. But this is mostly a recommendation video for Psyche K, and him talking about it and why he thinks it'd be good to watch high. And, you know, having watched this right after the Haikyuu video, after the Crunchyroll video, I think he did a much better job, because he just uses a lot more examples, like very concrete examples. I do feel like Crunchyroll, Tim talked more generally about the shows and kind of the premise and shit. And like Daburo talks about the premise and the Psyche K and whatever, but there was just a lot more clips featured in it, and examples, and like kind of a decent, he's not trying to make a concrete rationale. It's more like really fun and kind of a cheeky recommendation, or a way to you know, like a way to recommend the show. It was a different approach, instead of, you should watch Psyche K, I like the show, you know. So this was pretty cool, and I thought it was really neat. He's got a really good energy, and I'm looking forward to what else he's got to come up with. He said he has a bigger video on the way, so I'm looking forward to that. Good shit. Ryu Token got a Buchigiri manga and OVA recommendation. This had some Kenny Launderdale vibes, to be honest, but in a good way. The kind that's like you want Kenny to be, but Kenny keeps being a really like deprecating and snarky, and it's just annoying to me personally. He's just going out about it like really not with like a kind of a deep appreciation and really liking the material. It's more like out of a check out this wacky thing, I blow the dust off the VHS. You know, it's I don't know. But Ryu had this really nice introduction and talking about the importance of delinquent anime in the 80s and 90s, and it had a really good energy to it. Really nice song choice, and like good clip stuff. It was really getting me in the mood. I was like, ooh, I like this already. And then really getting into Bujigiri, talking about it pretty generally, flipping back and forth pretty every so often between the manga and the OVA. I like the point that he's making where he says that it's not licensed anywhere, but it also doesn't have subs. But it's like, why do you need subs when these characters speak with their fists? And it's like, oh yeah, babe, exactly what I'm talking about. Hell yeah. Oh yeah. So like that was cool. But it's got a good feeling to it, and it like I said, I think it's like Kenny without the things that I don't like about Kenny. It's like what I wish Kenny would be like, and that's nothing against Ryu Token, I think. But like I really enjoyed this, and I'm hoping to looking forward to other stuff that Ryu can dig up. If you're not subscribed to him, go ahead. He's a cool guy. We got a tag team effort here with Craftsdwarf and Nunmanji talking about Yu Yu Hakusho having a placement on Yusuke Urameshi's character progression throughout the story, starting from the beginning. Both of them basically kind of make the same video, but intentionally. I think there was some. They didn't really outright say this, but I would imagine that both of them had the intention of talking about Yusuke in some way, and they're like, oh, we're both doing that, we may as well kind of link our channels and link to each other as like this is kind of a companion piece. And they don't do something as like, Craftsdwarf talks about the first two arcs and Nunmanji talks about the other two arcs. They actually pretty much do the same progression of like where Yusuke starts, how he progresses before he faces Toguro and his relationship to Toguro, and finding as Crafts was saying, a reason to fight, and then from that going from his relationship to Sensui and Chapter Black and what he was going through there, and then giving a very good explanation instead of kind of like, oh, this arc's mid, right? Like everyone kind of like the last arc for Yu Yu Hakusho, a lot of people weren't as invested in or energetic in. I think both creators here really give good explanations to why Yusuke does what he does and his mentality going through that. Nunmanji in particular, I think, doing a really good job in that last part, showing off the ending and like kind of like why he's doing it, and then the fact that he does come back. I think he was able to articulate it a little even better. But this was really cool. I really like Yu Yu Hakusho analysis. Again, with like, I talked about Kato's video a couple weeks ago. But like it's some good vibes, man. And like I was able to appreciate it a lot more. I haven't seen Yu Yu Hakusho in years and years. So I really need to. I'm looking forward to rewatching it this year. As one of my rewatches. It's gonna be so awesome. But like, this was really great to really get in that mind space, because I feel like with shonen anime, especially if you're watching it for the first time, it's difficult to really pay attention to what's going on in the characters' heads and like the connections and everything, because I feel that like all I end up focusing on, that I end up paying attention to, is the actual having to overcome the bad guy, for me at least. Maybe I'm just a real basic bitch, but like I remember when I first was watching Yu Yu Hakusho, I just remember that the fights was really cool, but never like, yeah, what is this? Yusuke fighting Rin and the Mohawk guy, and like him finding value in that, right? It was really great. So like, yeah, and it also very clean editing, of course, like just nothing too fancy, and using some similar clips with each other, but it's like, that just goes for the show that like you're sourcing from the same material and like kind of overlapping the thematic, the content you're talking about, really. But like I liked it for having for being fairly, kind of redundant, all things considered, with the two videos. It's not like, one supporting the other kind of thing. But it was really great because you get a fuller picture. It's like a binary thing. Like you kind of do like a 110010101100, and then the other person does the inverse of that. Like it's just filling in the other half of the puzzle, basically. Not like in a very like this half, like I said at the beginning, but more like puzzle kind of in the middle. Like, I don't know what to describe it without fucking visuals. Isn't it great without camera? Anyway, great job, guys. I really liked that. Okay, and let's talk about all the fucking Ishizoku reviewers. Is that Ishizoku? Interspecies? I don't give a fuck. God, you guys. There were so many of them. Everyone fucking talked about this fucking bullshit. Except Jeff. Why did Mother's Basement not cover this? This is like a hot button community thing that this would be right up his alley. Where's the video, Jeff? Did you not want to talk about, like, did you make a video at all this week? I don't think he did. Maybe he did. I have to look. Maybe he's going to talk about it. Maybe he's just taking a week off and he's just like, oh, I'm late to the party, but I'm going to here's my take, right? Or maybe he saw that everyone else was covering it and he actually backed off and up, like, that doesn't make sense, Jeff. You know this would get views. Why didn't you had to, of course. Anyway, so many people made a video on this. God. Jacker's Boy making a decent, it's not hentai, guys. God, you're not fapping to this. It's for comedy. Grr. Whereas I think hentai, I have to kind of agree with the other consensus. Like, look, I think the content argument of what is and isn't hentai is also kind of similar to what is and isn't mecha, which was a conversation I had on my Patreon, on my Discord. It's just not, like, I don't see the point. It's such a fucking gray area. It's like, if it's got sex in it, you know what I mean? But then Cartoon Cipher made an actually pretty good point in that regard, where it's like, this is not being done for titillation. Rape scenes in anime doesn't necessarily make it a hentai, especially if it's not explicit. But it's like, it's also not in the majority of it, right? Like Berserk, you really can't call that a hentai, even though it has a very graphic sex scene in the very last episode, because that's not what it's about in the majority of the entire show, right? It's not all sex. But Reviewers is all sex. And then they're like, oh, well, why didn't... The whole situation is really annoying to me. I think Cartoon Cipher made kind of the best take. Actually taking from industry people, citing from Justin Savakis' Fan vs. Pro episode, where they talked about it more of kind of what probably happened. But my whole thing with this take, I guess this also counts as a fucking take. I don't know why we're talking about this when the show's not even over. Like, all of us could probably be fucking eating our fucking words. Either side could be eating their fucking words by the time episode 12 happens. What if they actually go all the way and show this particular material, right? We don't know how this show's even going to end, if it's going to end. What if it gets canceled, right? What if it actually does go too far? I think it's incompetence on the creator's part for not telling these people in advance. Although, again, Cartoon Cipher makes a good argument where it's like, yeah, I can see why they chose this, because it's not entertaining to just put a bunch of text on screen. It makes more sense on paper because it's paper you're already reading anyway. But visual wise, it's like, anime wise, it's like you have to depict something, right? But like, you could have been more creative with it. You could have been like, I don't know, make some sort of analogy or something. There's euphemisms, and like, ecchi is creative. Ecchi has to be really fucking creative, and I think just straight up showing the sex isn't all that creative. And it's like, and you didn't tell any of these licensors and a bunch of the people who are investing money and they don't want the angry parents and tarnishing their reputations and shit like that. It's just not a good situation, and it's annoying that a lot of people are just memeing it up, or I don't know. It's really fatiguing. There's so many videos on this, and they were all really kind of annoying or mid, or just like, yeah, okay. Cypher, I think, just doing the best job with it, but even then, it's just kind of a thorny, incomplete situation. Like, Funimation didn't really make an official statement. They didn't really go out and address this. They just kind of hoped that no one would notice, and then the story broke, because of course it did. Although, I think if this show wasn't popular, like if people weren't enjoying this show for the first... I remember when this show dropped, when the season began, everyone was like, wow, that was actually really good, and like it was getting traction. If it was one of these shows like Darwin's Game or whatever that like no one was liking or nobody wanted to watch, and it got dropped from one of these platforms, people might be like, that show was bad anyway, and move on. It wouldn't have all these videos about it. Oh God. It's just no, I not into it. But out of all the videos that could possibly deal with this thorny situation, Cartoon Cipher I think did the most thorough job, really diving into the manga, giving specific examples like by chapter, talking about certain episodes that they have that were available. But that's what I mean. Not all of the show is out yet, so it's like this is going to age. This might age in some way. I just don't like it. Ugh. They also changed the title, interestingly enough. It used to say that one time Funimation dubbed hentai. I'd like to add. Anyway, yeah, I'm kind of over it. I hope everyone else is over it too. Next video. Oh, good. And now let's talk. Let's discuss. But the best videos of the week. But first, give a shout out to the Mighty Gore, which is something I hosted, but was mostly with other creators, so it's a lot of their work. I didn't want to bog this digest down completely with Money Gore, because I would just want to talk about it endlessly, going part by part. So I created a commentary track that you can watch after digest, or you've probably already seen it. And it's a commentary track using the actual visuals, and it's the uncut version, but it just has the music at a mute or very low volume, so that's cool. So I'm happy that got made, and hope you enjoy that. That's my take on it. Good project, of course. But let's talk real quick about the first video that I thought was really funny. Oh my god, Mudan put out 60 Ways to Isekai after doing this like Isekai month, I guess, or just he had this whole stint of just reviewing a bunch of Isekai and really taking them all to tax, I guess. I didn't really watch any of them. They're just kind of okay. They're just kind of like vanilla reviews. But this was really funny. And it goes over 60 different shows, 60 different isekai, and that covers like almost the entire gambit. Like that was almost every single isekai I am aware of, which is really cool. And it was so funny with the repetition, and it starts with Truck-kun, but everyone thinks it's Truck-kun. But then Mudan makes this really valuable video, I think, while also being kind of a shitpost and kind of a funny thing, where he goes over all of the isekai, the way that these people get teleported to another world, and all the different ways or similar ways that they do it. There's actually a lot more instances of character wakes up as a video game character. It's like, I guess I'm in another world, or like, what was another one? Oh, like you have been summoned, like to protect our world or whatever. And of course, Mudan going with this very creative way of doing it. Like he had to depict this in some way with him and everything. And it's always very creative and not super fancy or anything, but it's always really funny. And it runs an entire gambit of shows. It's only the title, but I think that's way better than like making stuff up, right? I can imagine how many like these other channels who aren't as creative or aren't as not going to have as much effort put into it. They just make up a bunch of teleport to another world. It's a bunch of Truck-kun. Like this could have been a really cringy fucking meme. But what makes it great is it's based in reality. It's based in, this is 60 different isekai and all the different ways that they do it, and like lumping them together very, very hilariously, where like some of them are like repeated a bunch of times, or the pacing is good. He has great comedic timing. And it's, again, so creative, and it's only like 2 minutes. It's really funny. Please watch it. It's fantastic. I love it. That was great. RagsAnime. We're doing a not Cartoon Cipher. Cipher the video. And one of my favorite OVAs. I haven't made a dedicated video on it yet. I don't really know what I would say at this point, because Marion B did a really great video on it. Kenny made a video on it. Can you tell I have some contempt for the guy? I'm so sorry. I don't know. Whatever. But Rags putting out a cool video talking about this project he and his friends were doing, where they challenged themselves to watch every '80s OVA that came out in the '80s in 2020, and they came across this one, and like articulating the experience of watching this for the first time. That was I was wondering like who could else make a Cipher video? Like what else would you talk about? And I really like the approach Rags did here, where he really like started from the beginning, and he says how like one of his friends was like, "Oh, prepare for a 40-minute music video," and they're like, "But it actually happened." And like the joy that I basically re-experienced this OVA that I love so much with Rags in this way, and him reacting to the TV commercial in the middle, like the English and everything, the really good song, the Thompson Twins song. He's like, this is a really good song, and like really good visuals. And I was like, yeah. And even at the end had like a bonus thing talking about the Thompson Twins. I'm like, yeah, I looked that video up too. I love that song too. Oh my god, Kamikaze's a great song. Holy shit. And like, I'm so vibing with this, and I loved it, and he really gave it respect. He's still giving it the kind of the cringy and and like, this is dumb or this is funny, or I don't know why this hasn't turned into a meme yet. But it is a meme for all of us who know about it. It's so spicy. But yeah, like I honestly thought he came out of this loving it, and it was like I don't really know why he necessarily. I don't necessarily know what the title is kind of doing, but like, I think the general point that he's sort of making about it is that a lot of people try to make value out of an anime where like they think that the plot's good or the themes, right? And like praising the show to high heaven because it has these themes, and they're not so much experiences, right? It's more like, a story thing. And like, he's like that's cool, but you got to have some more in your diet than that. What was there's something like like having breakfast, right? If you just have eggs, bacon, and toast, and having the typical breakfast every day, like that's good food, but you're gonna get tired of that, right? You're not gonna appreciate it as much. It's not the spice, he's got to put a little spice in, or throw in a tomato once in a while. So like, I loved that approach and that take, and giving really good credit to Cipher, really encouraging people to watch it, right? And not like, fuck, this movie is so stupid, right? And like, I don't know, and that's the plot, right? He gave it the right credit, the actual fucking, thank you. So Cipher the video take, hell yeah. By the way, I believe it's Cipher, I believe, because it says it in the OVA itself, like they spell it out, I believe. And then it's specifically Cipher the video. He says like, it's just Cipher, and it's like, yeah, I believe Mal says that, but the again, like they actually say it in the title as well, is like, this is how Cipher the video was made. Oh yeah, and like geeking about the Twin Towers and everything. It's like, oh, that aged poorly. And it's like, yup, it's the first shot of the OVA, and like, but like they explain why, right? And I don't know. This is just me geeking about Cipher now. And like, Rags, you got it, you nailed it. Hell yeah. The Electric Hobo, your boy is doing a Mia Mathova. So best of fucking luck to him. Just, geez Louise, I wouldn't. I've thought about it. I've considered it, but I'm just not in that headspace. But that's a challenge and a half, and like, hell yeah. So I'm not watching everything he's putting out. I'm kind of just watching the stuff that looks interesting to me. That's how I run. And he's talking about After the Rain. I love that show. I just watched it this past month, like back at the end of 2019, early 2020, and I loved that show. It was great. So I was like, makes local hopeless squeal. I was like, oh hell yeah. And there's a format, he calls it a certain thing, like Chilling with Hobo or something, I don't know, but it's him, the very classic, like him sitting in a comfy chair with like a fireplace next to it, with like a purple bathrobe and the tie and everything, and he starts the video sitting down and pouring a monster into a Monster Energy drink into like a glass and everything, and and sipping it and kind of like, ugh, because it's really strong because it's a monster. It's not like it's not like a beer or anything like that, but I just like the aesthetic of a monster, and I loved that he got progressively more disgusted with the monster as he was drinking it. It's like, or just, he does it so much better. He just makes these fucking squealing noises, and it's so funny. And there's one point like towards the end where he downs the whole thing. And I'm like, oh no. And he doesn't do like as like loud of a thing, but then later has like the pangs, like, oh. It was so funny. Really good through line. He's a really great creator in this way. And he talks about After the Rain very candidly. I really appreciated the honesty. It's not shitting on the show outright. He really admires how much he liked it in the beginning, and what it was teasing, what it was going for, but then talks about how like he was disappointed that after the halfway point it really feels like they're just kind of meandering and talking about books, and not delivering on the expectations and what it was building up to, and he was pretty disappointed in that. He doesn't necessarily go so far as to really try to understand what they're saying. He doesn't even remember. He doesn't like go so far as to try to remember the character. He's talking off the top of his head in this video, and I think he establishes that very well, to where I'm not really gonna judge him all that much on the basis of like he didn't even make research, or you're being willfully ignorant, right? Like the format and his brand of humor and the tone of the video, I can understand that you're just kind of ranting off of what you remember from watching the show and how it made you feel. And you're not trying to outright dismantle the show in that way either. So like I really appreciate it from that angle. You're not really trying to make the definitive like After the Rain video and like really dismantling it, because if you were, it'd be like, well, you didn't really do research into it. You don't even remember the characters' names, right? So there would be like some tension there, and I wouldn't believe what you're saying. But because you kind of disarm all that and be like, I don't know, her name is Akira or something, and you're only recalling the details you remember, and you're not like giving the show its fair due or whatever. But like, I don't know, the general approach to it, I really liked it, and I really appreciated the honesty. In spite of me kind of disagreeing with you with like, I liked the second half. I mean, I do agree it's not I wasn't as immediately invested in as I was in like the first episode or a few, but it's really cozy, and like I would have loved to watch it week to week, and no, so I mean I really liked that, and I'm happy you were able to get this video out. You said that you recorded this like around the time that the season came out, like 2 years ago at this point. I only had the like, well, I still have this footage. Let's actually go ahead and polish it and actually make it, because we're doing a Mia Mathova. So like, I was really happy that this circumstance gave you the vehicle to put this out, because I really enjoyed it actually, and your humor is incredible. I really like the one towards the beginning. You do this like trumpet thing. You like cut away to yourself like playing a trumpet, and then like it's really shitty. Or just whatever, and like kind of derpy, and then you kind of like break character and kind of laugh a little bit afterwards. So like that humor fucking hits me, dude. I love it. Yeah, I think you should do more of these. The character you're portraying here is really engaging and fun. I think it was a really smart approach to really make it clear that you're just kind of talking off the top of your head and how you experience the show. And oh yeah, so like there's parts where you're playing the OST from the show really intense, and like it's actually really intense, like volume wise with your voice, and like it's you're ranting about it like really passionately, and like it was really investing, and like I loved it. It was so cool. I loved it so much. Really great job, and best of luck to the rest of your Mia Mathova. That is a lot to do, and you kind of break yourself doing that. But I loved it. That was awesome. Great job. Everyone watch this video, please, and support him. Support him in his endeavors of Mia Mathova. He's making a lot of content, so maybe there's a video there that you might be interested in that I was like, whatever. But check it out. Stevem. making a Sonic OVA video. And I'll be candid. First time I heard about you doing this, and I was like, oh, that's neat. And then I watched in 20 minutes. I was like, yeah, maybe I'll watch it. I don't know if I'll have anything to say about it, really. Yeah. But you actually did a lot of different stuff in this video. And just general stuff I didn't expect. For one thing, you're not coming out of this from an outsider perspective. When you were doing your Madhouse series, a lot of the time you were watching the movie for the first time, or doing your research on it, but still kind of coming at it as an outsider, it seemed. But here, you seem like a lifelong Sonic fan. Like, you are actually versed, not just in like the video game or the Sonic X anime. You don't even mention the Sonic X anime like once, like the 2000s one, right? It didn't feel like you're a surface level fan. It felt like you really were immersed in it, and you've had your fair share of everything, and you're referencing all these little titles here and there. It's like, oh, this is not as eclectic as it felt like a connoisseur of sorts. You were just like, this isn't as fast and intense as the Sonic CD intro. Like, really nerdy. And it was surprising. It was maybe a quarter of the video before you actually started talking about the OVA, and you didn't do the fucking tired ass, it starts with Sonic running around, and then he has to beat Eggman, and you're describing it so like a basic bitch. It felt a lot more experiential, and like really talking about how Sonic is depicted in this OVA versus how he's depicted in other types of media, and what they're really trying to accomplish with this OVA. Really making a point that they're trying to increase his presence in Japan, because he got a success in the United States, because that he was kind of designed as a way to counter Nintendo. And so, like, there's like sort of a collaboration there, but he wasn't as big in Japan. So they were making this OVA and some other things in part during the Sonic drought. I didn't even know there was a Sonic drought. Like, that's how into it you were, in my opinion. It's like, it didn't feel like you were coming at it from an outsider perspective, which was really surprising. It felt like from a genuine Sonic fan, and not like an ironic Sonic fan either. Like, you didn't dwell on how how Sonic can be bad games or whatever, or just jank or whatever. Like, you really seem to get an understanding of the property, of the character, of the universe, like the whole thing. It was great, and hearing about your the whole thing, it just generally it was just great. What really surprised me, which I also really liked, this is a collab of sorts. You have a guest speaker, I suppose, a guest star with Scheming Fox, and this isn't just him taking this is a video game YouTuber, much smaller. Hasn't been all that active. Just put out a video a couple days ago though, so he is kind of starting to get back. So that was cool. But he was really interesting, and he banters with you. He doesn't just like, oh, thanks, Stevem. Hi, guys, I'm Scheming Fox, and then this is the section we're going to talk about, right? No. He just very smoothly comes in. He just starts talking, and they're having a conversation, Stevem and Scheming Fox. And it's like they're just buds talking over this thing, and like broing out over this OVA, and that was really good energy. That's so rare to see. It's not like I think it's very easy for videos to feel like an event of sorts, some piece or whatever. And so like other collabs, they always feel really stiff, right? But it's great when like they're bros and you're just talking over talking in a back and forth. And it weaves in and out too. It's not entirely that. Stevem cuts away from their conversation and kind of weaves in more bits of just him talking and just him making his observations of sorts. That like, I feel like his writing is so much more conversational or like observational or something. It doesn't feel like a written thing. I don't know. It just far more natural, and I don't know. Maybe it's like I think that this is present since his Toei month. When I first started watching him, when I think about it, this is just an observation I'm thinking of right now. It's like, yeah, your writing style is really casual and just really easily consumable and friendly and really good. Like I kind of noticed this more than ever, especially when it was contrasting with what was definitely off the cuff conversation with Scheming Fox. And it was a really good, even back and forth. And yeah, again, giving Sonic OVA, it's good actually, right? So I kind of expected that going in, but really, really great credit to this OVA, and really appreciating it from all angles, while also having an understanding of it in the greater context of the series. It's not just like, Sonic, am I right? It didn't feel like that, and like, I just really enjoyed it. So I was like, well, I guess I am talking about it again. I guess I'll be talking about every Stevem video now. Fine by me. The bangers, dude. You're fucking awesome. And finally, let's talk about what I definitely think is the best video of the week. Just on a pure, you could tell this video means a lot to this individual. And the amount of bravery and technical skill that is involved in making this sort of video alone is enough to really merit the highest recognition. That would be Shabu's overlooked track from Liz and the Bluebird, talking about this music track that seems like it's like 2 minutes. It's actually a very short track, but doing the classic music analysis of breaking down the track itself, how it's composed, and then as well as its implementation in the movie itself, which I think it only shows up in one scene, which is pretty small in comparison. But like that's a movie be like that. They're not going to reuse a lot of the thing, right? But yeah, so Shabu is very vulnerable in this video, particularly in the first third, the first 5 minutes or so. He really discusses how he came across this track, where he was mentally at that time in 2018. This movie came out like summer 2018, and his relationship to it and this particular track and his approach to starting this video, because he was self-conscious about seeming opportunistic about this particular subject matter. Because I agree. I think now, given the wake of the KyoAni fire, not that I don't think anyone is outright doing it for views, but it definitely is in a way commenting on it, and the video wouldn't have been made. No one was making a KyoAni video post arson because they like KyoAni and not because of the arson. Like, if they didn't mention the arson, it'd be like, what? Right? And no one also was incentivized to just make a general KyoAni good video, right? Until this moment. So I can understand Shabu's concerns of making it seem sort of opportunistic, but he really wanted to talk about it. But like, he doesn't necessarily go out and be like, please don't make it, he's not begging or anything, but he's, using this this prelude of sorts before I really like that he separated very cleanly from his analysis of the track itself, which I'll get to in a second, and this prelude, which is him, like, live action footage of him, really compelling live action footage of him, mixed in with the anime and everything, and the storytelling on display was very riveting and impactful, and I loved it. And that, I think the intro by itself, I think, would make this in the best category. But then the actual analysis, my fucking god, nobody on YouTube, on anime YouTube, should be talking about soundtracks nobody is going to be talking about it on the same level as Shabu. He is the top that I can think of. I actually can't think of anyone that would even come close. Maybe because it's his job, right? Like, he's literally a fucking composer for a living, and like, doing these connections and shit. The dude's awesome. I want to hear more of his work, actually, especially because I'll get to that third part. There's stages to this. This dude's great. So core edits, and this is hard to edit, actually, because it's like you're just talking about a particular track, and like he's talking about the actual making of it. So when the opening seconds of the track is a somewhat kind of repetitive piano chime, but he takes it 8 steps further to I was like, what? Where he's talking about how like the piano is a prepared piano, I believe it was called, where like you're manipulating the strings and the hammers that are actually making the sound to make it sound more metallic or cooler. Cooler is not like a like radical, but like icier, I guess. And what I don't know. I'm not gonna say timbre because I don't think that's the right word. See how I'd like to talk out of my ass? Classic anime YouTuber. No, but this dude fucking knows what he's talking about. Jesus Christ. At least I'm pretty sure. I believe it. I buy into it. Hell yeah. Using like pieces of metal, like screws or a key or business card, other things like business cards or just general things, and jamming it into the piano itself to make the sound different and making a very specific sound. And obviously this is a lot of conjecture on his part, but as a composer and as someone who does this and later goes on to makes his own prepared computer his prepared manipulated piano. I don't remember. I thought I had the term. And then I lost the term that I even said. Prepared piano? I don't remember. God damn it. And there goes my train of thought. It is left the station. Bye-bye. Oh, no. But, yeah, so, like, he really knows what the fuck he's talking about and really breaks the entire track down to 4 sections and, like, the whole thing. And again, it's all like contextualized by this prelude of like him really trying to understand why he's talking about it, right? And so the entire thing, it feels like, there's that lingering question of why is not in the viewer's heads when he's going about this. They're not like waiting for some build or whatever. The analysis makes it so that way it lets the analysis breathe. You can just pay attention to what he's talking about instead of imagining or wondering what this could be leading to. You kind of already know what it's leading to, or just kind of understand where it's leading to. So you can listen to everything he's saying. It's just so smart and just, like, really great fucking idea. And of course the implementation as well. But like it's only one instance, right? So there isn't too much to talk about. It wasn't like my guts analysis where like I talk about every single instance of it, right? But I don't know how that track was made. I don't know anything about that, or like what key it's in, or the notes that he's going so far as like use the A key, and then like it's kind of like what Sen Huxtable does a little bit with some of his music stuff. Him talking about it, like it gives it off that sort of vibe. Yeah, it's just so fucking impressive, man. Like, geez Louise. But then there's a third section where he proceeds to prepare his own piano, or make a piano, I don't know. Basically make it so that he can do a similar thing and make a tribute track of sorts. I don't know if that's how he calls it, but basically kind of a complimentary track where he composed his own piece of fucking music as a complimentary piece of like how this piece made him feel, and like a response to it. And I also kind of took it, maybe he just outright says it as I'm just a poor watcher. I can't pay attention. I should have watched it multiple times like a smart viewer. But he also says like the track also made me think that like this is the orchestration that he had and the composition of creating this video. Like you had like little rufflings of paper, or like what sounds like him writing on a piece of paper, and so it's like the process of, it's like the mentality that goes through going piece by piece and like weaning and coming forward. Like you have some spurs of emotion, or some sparse like pauses, right? So you have like, I don't know, like dips or whatever, and or different movements and everything. And God, it just composes his own fucking music while doing or during a time lapse of him in real life. The first time I've seen him in real life, doing this prepared piano thing. And like, it's one shot, and I don't necessarily see what's inside the piano, or like a how-to, which I think is how he kind of frames it as, like, this is that's how you prepare a piano or something like that. And I was like, yeah, I didn't really get the sense from here. I'm kind of over here at the camera. I didn't really see what you were doing inside there. But that's okay, right? I wasn't looking for. I was whatever you got to show me, man. Like, wow. And all in one take too, right? There was no cuts in, as far as I could tell, in that time lapse. And it's like he just sat there, turned record, and did it. And there was one part where he, in the middle of it, he doesn't cut or anything, as far as I know, and he turns to the cameras and talks generally of what's going on. He makes one or two points here. There's probably something more significant he said there, and I can't recall it at the moment. I'm sorry. I watched other videos too. But and then just goes back to his work and everything, and the move and like the actual soundtrack that the piece that he composed and made here, it's beautiful, and you really get the idea of what makes this track so interesting and impactful for him, in 3 different completely unique ways of like the actual hardcore analysis and that sort of tact. And I think it would just be kind of a decent video if it was that chunk on its own, but especially the prelude as well as this third part. And like he does kind of like the little awkwardly lull so awkward kind of like, I don't know how to end this video. Hope you liked it. But like I get that you're super vulnerable making it, and it was cute. But I think it could have. I mean, I'm not criticizing the video or anything, but like I think it could have been fine if you just kind of ended it with the track itself, and it just plays out. It's like, that's it. That's all there is to say, and you just let it go, and you don't have to say anything bye or anything like that. It's done. But that's okay. Well, it didn't take away from the video or anything. It happened, right? Gosh, it was great. And yeah, believe the hype, dude. Oh my god. I loved that. So please watch that video. Even if you're not hot on Liz and the Bluebird, I think there's the technical aspect on display, and of course the vulnerability that Shabu is showing here, especially given his mental state at the time, and still what he's still kind of wrestling with. I wish him the best of luck, and I'm really happy. I think he said this in other videos, or just maybe to us in general. I don't know, but like the existence of this channel and making these videos really lifts his spirits, and gets him more motivated and everything, and makes his life better. And I'm really, really happy that's the case. And I'm getting kind of vibes on that. I don't really appreciate it as much as I do usually, but yeah, I really, really like making videos like that. It's made my life better. Yeah, I feel that. Yeah. Man, if only it was a fucking video, right? Imagine. Or shit. I think that'll do it for Anitube Digest. I wanted to say at the end of this that there was a comment last week that said that this should be a podcast, and maybe that was a curse because it just turned into a fucking podcast again. But this is I'm not opposed to that. And there's an RSS, there's a way to distribute this as a podcast to other platforms like Spotify and Google Music, or whatever you listen to your podcast on. Everyone has their own platform. But it's $15 a month. So I have other things that I'm doing right now that I want to talk about. This is going to lead into kind of an update video, something I want to talk about with everyone. But look forward to that. Let me know in the comments if that is something you would be interested in as well. If you want to see this as a podcast, as converted as well as to a podcast. I'm not going to get rid of video entirely because I love looking at myself. I'm so fucking vain, dude. Oh my god. But let me know if like the podcast idea would be cool, and the fact that it is $15 a month and like other things, I might need some help with that. I might need some support, if you know what I. So if you like this podcast, if you like Digest, and you need, you've been listening to it every week, and or you went so far as to watch the whole backlog and everything. Hope you consider potentially something. We'll look forward to that as an update, but I'll put that out soon. Anyway, you guys have a good week. Yo, peace.